It's only one.
Conversation, right there. We're gonna jump into our topics for today, and I think I'm gonna start with the Nipsey Hussle situation because it's funny how the LAPD, pretty much waited till now to pretty much put out the information that they have had an active investigation against Nipsey Hussle for quite some time right now. They're also pretty much saying that they were the city of Los Angeles was pressuring Nipsey Hussle or his landlords at the time to evict him on numerous occasions. Also, they made it a point, which I thought this was very odd, to say that Nipsey talked about buying that whole plaza for 2.5 million, but for whatever reason, they say Nipsey and a group of investors, and they keep trying to, you know, uh, uh, um, emphasize those investors as if, whatever. But anyway, what do you think about this information that came out today, Sam? Man, the LAPD saying, look, we was investigating Nipsey Hussle for gang activity. They said that area right there was a hotbed for killings and different things like that. What is your feeling now, man, on this?
I feel like they're setting up a story. I feel like they're setting a story up. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says in the comment section. I don't care what anybody says. It's emotional, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking at the facts. I'm looking at it dead on from an objective point of view. And I'm telling you, I feel like they're setting it up. I feel like they're setting up the pieces to say this man was a gang member. This man is this man is that. Justifying that murder, justifying that assassination that happened in late March, early April. It's ridiculous. When you remember back at the BET Awards, when his mother spoke, and she was very, very skeptical and very, very on the radar of the LAPD, talking about the things that they in particular did not do to give her proper information, to give her proper security as to knowing what was going on. We remember the talks that were supposed to go on with Nipsey Hussle and the LAPD, certain people in the gang unit, different representatives of the gangs of Los Angeles to try to piece things up. But we also heard the struggle that he was going through with even owning that Marathon store and the power that came behind him owning that piece of property right there where he used to sell his CDs out of the trunk of his car, and the hope that he gave the people that worked within that section, man, is very, very troubling, eerie, and skeptical what's going on right now and how they trying to paint a picture of a man who we obviously knew was a Crip. No shit. He was a Crip. He didn't shy away from saying it, but you throw an active gang member out here now trying to paint this man who's no longer here as a menace to society when it was the complete opposite. I don't like what's going on. Oh God, I don't like it at all.
What do you think though about this whole dichotomy? It seemed like immediately after his death, they were like saying that he was a hero and, he was, community activist, community leader. And on the other side, you got an investigation against this person. So which one is it? How do you feel about that whole aspect of the whole thing?
Oh God, we were close to Hollywood. How fast did we go from Slauson? Or how fast did we go from Slauson Avenue to Beverly Hills Center? We didn't take long. It's Hollywood, and they painting the story. Yeah, they want to sit here and throw him as a hero, as this, because that city right now is on the brink of going absolutely fucking nuts. And if you don't get it under control now, you remember what happened back in the 90s. You remember what happened throughout time and throughout history in Los Angeles, and you know that shit's hot right now. So if they have any idea, any inkling, or any feeling in their bones that you have anything to do with that, the city's going up. It's going up. So they got to go out and be right ahead of that. Look, man, we love Nipsey. He was supposed to meet with us. He was a hero. He was this. Oh, but by the way, now fuck him. He was a gang member and he was on his way to jail anyway. Nah, man, y'all setting the story up. Do you think that this has anything to do with that case or will have any impact on the case coming up with Eric Holder and them justifying what happened on that morning or that afternoon?
I don't want to. That's a strong word. I don't know what they're trying to do. The LAPD. But me, all I do with this whole situation is I look at, I look at Nipsey and I say, okay, yeah, he was in the gang. Okay, they don't really care about that. But what do they care about historically? When you look at books, this book right here that I'm skimming through earlier, and the original book that John Potage wrote, the FBI's War Against Tupac Shakur and Other Black Leaders. It's like they didn't care. You could be in the gang, you could be dealing drugs, but as soon as you started to do some things that could uplift, people and get them to stop self-destructing, stop killing themselves, that's when they became a threat. And what do you do to threats? You neutralize, and if need be, you eliminate. So you got to look at the history, and he was a black leader, influential. And you got to look at the history of anybody who tried to, take, either, either politics, economics on a global level, they usually kind of been, snuffed out. You know what I mean? So I think that even though we don't have a lot of proof because we see a whole bunch of different things in the air, I just don't trust the LAPD. I just don't trust the narrative they're trying to write. There's been a lot of holes in the story. And I feel like it was a lot of people in that whole area that were responsible, I think, for what happened to Nipsey, man. I really think that. I think that it was, something. I don't think that it was just something where there was a guy that was jealous or anything and he got mad. Everything's not lining up. I think that when he went there, he was just casing it. Then he went back and handled the situation because, again, around the time Tupac died, he was talking about the same thing and how, they didn't really care about, when they was gunning each other down in this, but as soon as, they started to, do some things that were like, all right, let's stop fighting, let's stop dealing the drugs, then it became, a problem. It became a threat. As crazy as it may sound, got to do your history on this and study that. And I think people that do will see exactly where I'm coming from with this whole situation.
Nah, man, that was powerful. That was very powerful. And it just, when you're talking, it makes me just think. I'm thinking about the initial, what they first said about the situation where this was an act of rage. Dude might have been called a snitch, this or that, a third. He shot him. He's out of anger. And then not a couple weeks ago, we hear from the driver, and she states that they seen Nipsey, wanted to talk to him. Then they went to go grab a burger. And then they wanted to do a drive-by, and before we knew it, all this happened. So many conflicting stories that they're throwing out at us. But the overall, you get people that get angry when you ask questions, saying, nah, this was an act of violence. You motherfuckers are throwing this in. Nah, listen, man, there's more to this story than meets the eye. Why? You ask yourself, why now would they put out information this negative about a man who's been gone 2-3 months now, an investigation of his murder, but you put out this kind of negative headline, this kind of negativity. Now you're investigating a dead man for what? Like you said, if they banging, if they out here killing each other, selling drugs, doing that, run around all day. But the second they try to spin that around, target.
The crazy part though, SamAnt, is when I reading the article, one thing that it noted, and I wanted to ask you about this, was it said they can't, obviously Nipsey's deceased, so they can't charge him, but they are going to be looking at his business partners and continuing to investigate them for criminal activity, gang activity, and whatnot. What are your thoughts on that? What's your feeling telling you on that one?
My feelings telling me that they're making a move for the Marathon store in that lot.
Whew, damn, somebody else said that earlier, man. That's crazy.
That's what that feels like. They making a move for that lot, and they're gonna do whatever they have to do to make sure that they close that down, and that gets out of his name, which means now that's money, that's inheritance, and things that they're gonna take away. That's a black business that will probably never be in the hands of another black man ever again. I mean, this is how they do. This is seek and destroy right now. You have to understand the impact of them having that lot, how far it took them to get it, and the how promising it was out there in the place that didn't have much promise at all. If they fucking shut that line, that's gonna be another gun store, liquor store, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's a shame, man. But that's what it's looking like. It's looking like they're going to try their best to take that over. They're going to put Black Sam as a gang member, Cowboys, all the people in place that are in line to take care of that business once Nipsey's gone, and now that he is gone, they're going to try to get him out and put all these negative tags on him and take that lot.
Yeah, man, that's sad, man. Just, dealing with this whole situation. But
what do you think? What do you think on that? Are you kind of falling toward the same line? Do you think something different?
Yeah, nah, I agree. I feel like they're gonna eventually, another thing could happen is maybe they're not able to, keep the property, which they should. They should open up the store. You agree with, but the perfect way is probably to do the criminal thing and start throwing cases on people, say they was a part of this. That's what he was doing, and this, that, and the third. And I just think that at this point that Nipsey was smart enough not to be, intermingling that lifestyle. I think that he completely left that lifestyle alone and was making big money, in hip hop and all the other, Puma. He has so much other things going on. So I just don't believe it. But this is how the Alphabet Boys kind of do it, man. Historically, this is what they do. They do it right before our eyes, but we just all the time just keep denying and say, nah, I don't think so. This was this, and this was this, that. But nah, somebody got to speak up and just say it. This looks like, You know what I mean? Some real foul play going on. And I think in time it's going to reveal itself, you know, because, you know, it's just too much out there. I think they showed too much. They showed their hand a little too much. I think here, it's wow. It's eye opening.
You know, God, let me hear what you think about what I'm about to say. Now, I think there's a little bit of a silver lining in all of this because even though you got some real just um significance, there's something about Eighth and Slauson in that lot that means something to them brothers that are running that, Nipsey that ran that, but you still got online, you still got the Marathon brand, and you still got your voices. Now, I know that Black Sam may not be the one to come out and be vocal, but soon I feel like he needs to come out and begin making statements on behalf of a Marathon store brand. In fact, the theories are correct in what we're talking about, so that he can get a head start on getting people on his side, getting people to buy from the online store, pushing it. Because although that lot may not be available, there will be other lots available. And wherever the Marathon store is at, whether it be in Crenshaw, Long Beach, wherever it's at, it's going to do great things. And I don't want to see the brand kind of lose its steam and lose everything great that it has because LAPD may come and try to take that lot. They can't take the online store. They can't take another location. They can't take your brand. Go out and speak and really get ahead of that. What do you think?
That's huge, man. I think that, you know, that he needs to, you know, within the next few months, really make his stance, you know, known out here, how he feel. Maybe not have to go into detail about Nipsey and all that, but definitely the future, what's going on in the future, how they're going to be moving forward, you know, with the estate and whatnot, and you know, speak his feelings. And I think that he will. You know, his absence right now, I think is, you know, it's a little suspect for a lot of people, but his brother's freshly, you know, that was a traumatic experience. Somebody that you know run with every day, you came up with your whole life just to be gone suddenly one day. So, you know, I think that definitely that could be a situation where, you know, he has to definitely speak out. I mean, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, word. Now I understand that he just lost his brother and it's fresh, and I feel him 100%. I wouldn't want to do anything either, but eventually you got to get up, and we got to keep this train moving for him because that's y'all legacy. That's both of y'all legacy you got right there. I heard Nipsey talking in high regards of you, how you're a genius, how you took care of the payroll, how you were paying the people, merchandising, things like that. You were a huge part in that. You got to continue to keep it going, and the second you do decide to speak, whether it be you behind the camera or typing it out or whatever, you're gonna have support, man. So we support Black Sam, we support the Marathon store, Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace. And man, them LAPD boys, just watch.
Yeah, man. Definitely. But you're tuning to the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast with your brother Old God and SamAnt. We going in today on this Tuesday, episode number 1.
It's only one. Mo.